you 14 years old? Are you French? Do you not want to use an Uber or an electric scooter or a bicycle or a bus? In which case, you could quite easily go out and buy or hire one of these. It's a car. Actually, it's not a car. It's a Citroen Ami. I'll explain that in a minute. I'm Jonny Smith. Welcome to the Late Break Show. Let me explain in a bit more detail. In France, you don't have to be 17 to drive a car like this, and it's not really a car. Like I said, it's a quadricycle. And a quadricycle, the definition of that is, well, it's low powered. And this was a concept that Citroen brought out last year for their 100th anniversary, their centenary, called the Ami 1 concept. And the Ami concept is almost the same as this car, which is already, as I speak, in production. It's a fantastic essay in utilitarian vehicles and driving. Citroen says it's not intending to sell lots of them to the public, it's intending to sell a lot to fleets. This is not a car you're going to do long commutes in, but if you live in a city or a congested town, or you're maybe an older person that just does very short little shuttle runs, this will work just fine. PSA Group have their own car sharing app where you can just hire it by the minute at these roadside places where you just dial it up on an app on your phone and just go and use it for half an hour and then drop it off. And that's what this is going to be for. I think this is going to be for a younger generation of person that wants easy mobility without the hassle of ownership. A lot of people don't want to own cars anymore. I say cars. It isn't a car, but you know what I mean. So front wheel drive, 26 miles an hour, 43-mile range, lithium-ion batteries, 3.5 hours to charge it from empty, but that uses a 3-pin plug only, so a normal household socket. But inside, there's loads of storage, because there isn't a bonnet and there isn't a boot. It's all about the cabin. In here, 2-seater, and it's really constructed out of lots of smooth, easy to clean materials. So the kind of world we live in right now with germs and cleaning being easy, this is fantastic. It's a bit like a public transport in many ways, and I think that's the idea that Citroen have got with this car. Less people are going to buy it outright, more people are going to car share and use these things with apps where you can just go and use it for an hour and then give it back. So easy to clean. Formed plastic kind of bucket seats with very thin, hard-wearing vinyl patches on them. Actually quite comfortable. More comfortable than I was expecting. But look how deep the floors are and how much space you've got. It reminds me really of the first time I got in a Smart in about the year 2000, so 20 years ago. I was amazed at what you could fit into a short wheelbase. It's so deceiving. Passenger seat is fixed, driver's seat is movable, and you've got loads of legroom. Like I can't drive this with the seat all the way back, and I'm quite tall. There's your dash, just this little pod. Turn the ignition on, normal key. One click. It gives you things like indicators, gives you state of charge, gives you speedo in kilometers an hour. It doesn't have any tech on board, the Ami, and the reason for that is simplicity of cost production. So you bring the tech with you. Your phone docks here. There's a USB there on this little plinth that you can adjust. And I've been saying this for ages. This is what cars of all genres and all price points should have. Just have access and connectivity to one of those. Then you haven't got to waste millions of euros, dollars, developing infotainment integrated into a car that's going to go out of date pretty much instantly. This is the future, I think. It's got a heated windscreen. That's the future. There's an interesting stat actually, before I get cracking, and this blew me away. The prediction is that in 2030, by 2030, 1 in 3 kilometres covered will be by shared mobility. In other words, a lot of people don't want to own vehicles anymore, especially if you live in a city space. And that's where something like this could really help to mobilise people that don't want to necessarily use a scooter or a moped or the bus or something like that. Should we just stop talking and drive this bloody thing? Come on, we've got a city to explore. I'm going urban, people. I'm going urban, get in. going out onto the British roads for the very first time in the Ami Electric. So this isn't officially going to be on sale in the UK yet, although there is a fair chance that it will make it according to Citroen. What you have to bear in mind is the fact that this is made for urban use or super short journeys, tootling around. That's why there's no fast charging on it, and the top speed is what I'm doing right now. This is VMAX, 46 kilometers an hour, which equates to 26 miles an hour. In other words, I can drive at VMAX pretty much all round towns and cities, and I'm not breaking the law. Oh yeah, I got 46 going down that hill then. Bit of regen when I come off the throttle, you can hear it. It's quite loud because there's no soundproofing. There's no effort for any soundproofing, in fact. Full throttle, out the junction. 6 kilowatts of power. 5.5 kilowatt hours on the battery pack, the lithium ion battery pack. I think this is a 48 volt car. Bear in mind, a Porsche Taycan is 800 volts. Gives you an idea of the kind of power we're dealing with. I'm loving all the storage opportunities here. It's just simple driving, isn't it? And isn't it bizarre to think that in France, this is a sans permis car, as they call it, which means you don't need a driving license. You just have to do a basic compulsory road safety certificate course. And then from the ages of 14 upwards, you can drive it without a license, which is why people that have been banned from driving, adults that have been banned from driving in France, often buy these to get around it. So if you've been caught driving after 2 bottles of Beaujolais, just get yourself a sans permis car, which I think is not right. But what is right is the fact that this is almost rebirthing the ideals, the ethos of the 2CV. And the ethos of the 2CV was to mobilise a nation post-war, to create freedom and mobility for all classes, working classes. And that could be what this could be for the 2020s. But fully electric, really short, 2.4 metres long, 14-inch wheels. These panels are mirrored on the other side. From the waist up, 50% of the car is glass. It's got a panoramic roof as standard. There's already a thing out called the Renault Twizy, which you have known about for several years, and that's classed as a quadricycle. But the problem with the Twizy is although it's fun to drive and it's very narrow and nimble, it's only really worthy in countries where it doesn't rain so much. In Britain, we have stuff that comes out of the sky a lot, and it's actually quite cold. This is a full-bodied vehicle. So yeah, a smaller power output and slower than the Twizy, but also it's nearly half the price of the Twizy. I think Twizys start from about £11,500. This is €6,000. I remember when I met Nico Rosberg a few years ago, he said it's his favourite car, the Renault Twizy. Perfect for Monaco. Well, we're not in Monaco now. This is Coventry, the metropolis. Now, Coventry was known as Britain's Detroit. It was the second biggest producer of automobiles, of cars in the world back in the 1950s. And it's the home of the British motor industry because in 1896, a chap called Henry Lawson set up the Daimler Car Company here. And then all through the boom car time of the 30s, this place was building up for car production, and then in the war it was renowned for munitions and aeroplane production parts. And that is why in 1940 some chap called Adolf Hitler decided to blitz the place and pretty much return it to rubble. Of course, no gearbox, direct drive, there's no complicated dash, there's a big hook to hook me shopping on, my curry or my handbag. I don't have a curry or a handbag at the moment, I'm afraid. And the front looks the same as the back because it's the same panel. I love that. It reminds me of a dog, it reminds me of, is it a pug? The front looks a bit puggy. Well, and the back is just the same. Look at them. Turning circle on that. 7.2 meters. Obviously you can get a lot of vibrations and stuff like that. But you don't have to be in a luxurious flash car to enjoy driving. Stuff like this could restore the faith of driving enjoyment. I've got a girl smoking and laughing at me. If this encourages the new younger generation who don't necessarily want to own cars to still enjoy driving, I'm totally for that. And it's simple, so if you bought one or you leased one, you can customise it in minutes. I would love to customise one of these. I think it's fantastic. I don't think it looks embarrassing. I think it's incredibly innovative, actually. Especially if some of the materials are made from recycled fabrics and fibres, and that's when things could get really interesting. And you can customise the colours and things within minutes. There's a space in there for a cabin-sized suitcase, and then you've got this separation net, which is an accessory I think that you can fit yourself. And talking of accessories, this car's obviously got lots of orange accents, but they don't have to be orange. You can pick between 4 other colours: khaki, orange, blue, grey. And then the 7 accessories, yeah, you've got this handbag hook here. You've got these amazing pull-out, and these are rubber actually, kind of organisers. All along the top of the dash. You've got no bonnet or boot storage, and then behind the 2 seats you've actually got quite a deep recess in here. Again, it's all smooth plastic, so dead easy to disinfect. And there's a screen wash access port there, but you're sat right by the back window, so it feels like you're driving a London taxi from the back seat, because all of the vision and all of the space is here. And that's the other thing about reviewing this car is a bit odd for me, because the chances are most people aren't going to buy one of these. They're going to use one via car sharing apps or that kind of stuff, rent one temporarily or long term. And Citroen is saying that you'll be able to long term lease one for 48 months for as little as €30 a month. €30 a month. Nippy! Do you remember that thing, that Norwegian little electric city car from a good decade ago called the Think? I think Ford bought into it. Where did that go? Because I've got vibes of that. The Think story began in the mid-90s with a Norwegian startup company called PIV4 or PIV4. They built an EV 2+2, developed of all people with Lotus. It was ready by 1999, but PIVCo's finances, who owned the PIV4, were a bit crap, so Ford bought a majority stake for £90 million and rebranded it as a Ford Think City. Production restarted in 2000, along with golf carts and early e-bikes in fact. Production ended in 2002 with 1,005 cars made. Ford sold its stake in 2003, but Think ran out of cash in 2006 when deals with a young startup called Tesla went sour. But then a Norwegian investment company stepped in and they had a second go, and these second gen cars had 24 kilowatt hour battery pack, 99 mile range, 46 horsepower and 68 mile an hour top speed. The company finally died in 2012 because people didn't want to spend $36,000 on one, but there are even ambulance versions out there. An even stranger quadricycle-esque story is the Qpod, a French-imported quadricycle company owned by TV's Noel Edmunds. The one-time Top Gear presenter in the olden days effectively put a silly body shell and a steering wheel on a 40-mile-an-hour quad bike. It wasn't very good. No deal, Noel. No deal, mate. I'm enjoying the Ami, you know. Of course it's flawed. And you can't really compare it to a normal car, because even a smart car feels superior in terms of luxury and in terms of performance. I've just beaten that guy off the line. I'm at him. He's a bit pissed off. Oh, I've got another chance. Watch. It's going to get blown away by 6 kilowatts of EV. Let's do this. Am I going to take him? He's edging up for the start line. It's only 485 kilos. I'm on it. I've got him. I've had him off the line. That's all that counts. Now it doesn't matter. Oh man, imagine you'd be able to do that as a 14, 15, 16-year-old in Paris. Hilarious. Look, there's a Citroen C1, and look how much bigger that is than this. And that's a tiny car. This isn't the first idea that a kind of non-car-y thing has been made. Of course, the bubble car era was huge in the 1950s, and they weren't quite cars. A lot of them were trikes, quadricycles, and they've got a huge amount of style to them. Here we go, VMAX, onto the ring road. VMAX, there we go, done. Shouldn't really do this, I don't think, because if you can't even do 30 miles an hour, should you be on a city ring road? I'm sorry, Coventry. Do you know what? There's some very cool concrete in Coventry. People are joining the ring road much quicker than me. Oh my gosh, those lorries look big. The thing is though, this is the same height as a lot of cars. So unlike other quadricycles that tend to be lower, this is good in that respect. It has a 5.5 kilowatt hour battery pack. And the battery pack, I think, is under there. Let me just check that. Oh no, it's under there. I think it's under there. When you look under it, you realise what it is. It's pretty much a plastic body dropped over a box section steel frame, because it doesn't have to comply to all the regulations that a normal car does. And the doors are the same and they're interchangeable. But look, to make them interchangeable, one of them has to be suicide. Isn't it great? And the windows, look, if you like your classic 2CVs, the DNA of the 2CV is strong in this one. Look, it's a window, it's ambidextrous again, a window that just clips down and folds up, like so. In Paris, where these have already started being rolled out, I bet there's so many graffitied ones. I bet that it's the kind of car which would look really cool graffiti. Imagine having a Banksy Ami. This clever design of symmetrical panels, bringing down the cost of production and making replacing parts and repairs easy. It's great, it's so Citroen. I think this sort of thing is what Citroen was born to do. Citroen's really good at quirky design, but functional, utilitarian, and by very definition of that, it makes it cool, I think. Fit for purpose. Fit for purpose is a term that people don't massively practice anymore, really. Are most of the cars we drive fit for purpose today? Probably not. But here's an example of something which I think is Citroen doing what it does best. It's going back to its roots, properly utilitarian, cheap, easy to repair, but has an element of enjoyment in driving. And this is the thing, I'm reviewing a car that most people probably won't actually buy. They'll borrow it. A lot of people are borrowing cars, but it's still got to be enjoyable to drive, right? Surely. Thank you so much for watching. This is The Late Break Show. I've been Jonny Smith, and that has been a car which you can drive as a 14-year-old in France, or if you're a French adult who's been banned from driving. It's a cool thing.